In the heart of a land of towering peaks and deep shadows stood the castle of an old count, a man burdened by lineage, wealth, and a son who mirrored none of it. For the boy seemed adrift.
My son, we strive, we push, yet nothing penetrates that peculiar skull of yours. Nothing. Figures, histories, the weight of your name, like water poured on cold stone. Your head holds only dust.
The hound, he sounds lonely today, Father. His bark echoes off the stone.
Hounds! That is precisely the void I speak of. You cannot inherit, not like this, a master of nothing but sounds. You will go away from here to the city. A celebrated master shall carve sense into you. He will teach you properly.
And so the young man was dispatched, carrying his father's weighty hopes like stones sewn into the lining of his simple coat. A year bled into the next, returning him to the same cold stone.
Home again, son. Speak. What marvels, what dazzling knowledge illuminates you now?
Father, I listened closely. I have learned the language of the dogs. I know what their barks and whines truly mean.
The dogs? A year for dogs? If that the sum of it, the barking of beasts? Mercy upon us, what have I sired? This will not suffice. Another town awaits. Another master. A sterner one, perhaps.
And the cycle, bleak and unbending, began anew. Another year spun off the spindle of time, thin and gray, leaving the Count's patience worn down to a thread.
Well, out with it. What new absurdity have you collected this time?
Father, the sky is full of voices. If you listen, I have learned the language of the birds.
Birds? First the hounds, now the feathered fools? You learn nothing of worth. You waste the precious time. You are a mockery. Are you not ashamed, standing there empty-headed? One last chance. Another master. Another year. Your final year. But if you return again, filled with nothing but air and animal noise, then I swear, you are no son of mine.
The last turn of the key, the final grain of sand slipping through the glass, the third year ended, leaving behind only judgment.
My son, your final accounting. What knowledge, however wretched, have you gleaned?
Dear Father, this year I sat by the whispering marshes. I learned what the frogs croak, their deep, wet language.
Frogs? Filth! Mud! Slime! Dogs, birds, and now the croaking slime. Enough! This abomination is no son of mine. I cast him out. Take him deep into the forest's teeth and kill him. Bring me proof. His eyes, his tongue. Proof that this failure is erased.
Rejected, condemned, by the Father who saw only difference as defect. Into the forest's shadowed heart they marched him, duty a heavy cloak upon their shoulders. leading the lamb to a sacrifice born of rage, not reason. They reached a dark clearing, thick with ferns and shadows. The servant pulled out a long, practical knife. His eyes, filled with doubt, glanced at the boy, who was looking up at the trees as if listening to something only he could hear. But in the meantime, the second servant stopped him by the shake of his head.
I cannot. The master is unwell, blinded.
This lad's only sin is difference. It's not a killing offense.
But the proof. He demanded proof. Eyes, a tongue. He will know.
But suddenly, a deer darted away, snapping a twig as it went, sparking an abrupt scheme in their minds.
Go, now, deep into the woods. Lose yourself. Never return. We shall harvest the Count's tokens elsewhere.
Pity, a fragile seed in stony hearts, had spared him. Now the world belonged to him in all its strange and whispering beauty. Adrift upon the currents of fate, the sun wandered lands etched with sorrow and shadow, leaving behind a life that never fit, seeking only a roof against the rain. And so he came, as night devoured the day, to a fortress clinging to the cliff's edge, a place wrapped in fear as much as stone.
Good Lord, shelter from the storm, I beg you, just for this night.
Shelter? Aye, the walls are thick. But peace, young man, that's a rarer commodity here. There's space down in the old tower, empty now, save for them. It's filled with dogs, wild dogs. Their howling freezes the blood.
They say, at the darkest hour, they demand a toll. A human toll.
They tear men limb from limb, gone in an instant. The whole countryside lives in dread.
But fear, it seemed, spoke a language the boy did not understand.
The tower, then. Let me stay there tonight.
Stay? There? Boy, are your ears filled with rainwater?
I heard your warnings, my lord. Just let me go down to where the dogs howl. And if you have some spare food, meat perhaps, something I can offer them.
You would risk it? On your own head be it. Fine. Give the lad some scraps for the devils.
Disbelief warred with desperation in the fortress that night. And so, armed with naught but kitchen scraps and an uncanny calm, the sun approached the beast's dark den.
You're not monsters. Just bound here, aren't you?
The dreaded beasts, the terror of the district, showed no malice, for the sun saw past the curse to the captive souls within, and in the language that needs no words, of sigh and whine and sorrowful gaze, they spun their tale. A wizard's spite, a lost king's hoard, guarded through countless weary nights. Freedom, they yearned for it. A freedom only found when the glittering burden below was finally unearthed. and they showed him with gestures understood across the gulf of species how the lock of their curse might be turned.
The howling has ended. The dogs have told their story.
Told. You live. You are whole. The noise, it stopped near midnight. We feared.
They were bound to guard a cursed treasure hidden beneath. They showed me where.
Trusting the strange boy who spoke with beasts, they followed his guidance into the tower's heart. And as the cursed gold felt the morning air, the spectral guardians dissolved like smoke on the wind, their long duty done. The land sighed in relief, freed by the quiet boy who understood the value of listening. Time passed within the fortress walls, marked by newfound quiet and the gleam of rescued gold. But peace, for the sun, was not a place, but a path. Offers of adoption, comfort, and riches were gently refused. Another call echoed louder. He knew not precisely why, only where. A name, like a half-remembered dream. Rome, city of whispers, bones, and fallen gods. And so he journeyed onward, pulled by the invisible threads of fate, towards whatever awaited him in the world's ancient heart. The road unraveled, leading him closer to Rome's ancient stones, past stagnant pools where the air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decay and secrets. And here, rising from the mire, the third voice of his strange education, the guttural language of the frogs, deciphered years ago in youthful curiosity. They spoke not of simple things, but of threads of fate woven in the Vatican, of a Holy Father departed, a throne standing empty, and of him, the outcast, the wanderer, the listener, destined by heavenly sign to wear the bishop's mitre. It was a future grand and terrible, bringing no comfort, only the cold shadow of an inescapable calling. And so he came at last to Rome, city of echoes and marble bones, heart of a faith vast and ancient. He entered as a whisper, a nameless traveler, arriving at a time of deep uncertainty. For within the Vatican's labyrinthine heart, grief held sway. The Holy Father had departed this world, and the seat of St. Peter, heavy with centuries, stood vacant.
The conclave is divided. Ambition whispers in the shadows. Choosing wrongly invites disaster.
This decision cannot rest on mortal shoulders alone. We must seek guidance.
Let Providence decide. Let heaven itself send down a sign, a clear, undeniable miracle. Only one marked by God's own hand can lead the flock through coming storms.
And as this solemn pact was made, this plea sent forth for heavenly intervention, the wanderer entered the basilica's great heart. He stood within the belly of the beast of faith, simple and silent, while in the chambers of power, prayers for a sign had just been uttered.
The sign! Dear God, the sign! It is he! Heaven has chosen!
And in that moment, the cardinals saw not a lost boy, but their answer. Divinity, in its strange wisdom, had marked its choice.
Young man, heaven has clearly shown its favor upon you. In the eyes of God, we ask, will you take up this sacred office? Will you be our Holy Father?
The question echoed in the colossal space, a weight far heavier than any earthly crown.
Me? Pope? But I know nothing. I am not worthy.
How could he, who understood dogs and frogs, possibly lead the faithful? Doubt coiled within him. But the feathered messengers on his shoulders offered a silent wisdom, an affirmation of destiny's strange and winding path. And so the choice was sealed. The listener, the wanderer, the boy who learned the language of beasts, accepted the papal tiara. Anointed, consecrated, robed in splendor, the boy who understood the beasts was now his holiness. But earthly rites require earthly knowledge. His first Mass awaited, a mountain of words he had never learned. Yet the divine messengers, symbols of his strange election, remained his steadfast guides. Syllable by syllable, prayer by prayer, they breathed the sacred liturgy into his ear, a living conduit for words he did not know but perfectly conveyed. And so, the gifts his father deemed worthless, the time thought wasted, the understanding ridiculed, these became the keys that unlocked fortune, broke ancient curses, and fulfilled a destiny woven from the whispers of the overlooked world. For true understanding often lies not in the learning demanded by the world, but in the quiet act of listening to all its voices, however strange they may seem.